Like when I say, I'm not saying like, oh, the strength is nothing. No. Strength is you need strength. You need physical strength. But for martial arts, you need more than that. Because if martial art based on the physical strength, brute force, this is very destruction. This is, you can do harm. Like I said, this is very dangerous. But when the martial arts is expressed, is as an expression of the heart, it becomes beauty.
Assalamualaikum and welcome back to another episode of Kindred Stories, where we seek knowledge and sow kindness with me, KJ.
And me, Shahril.
So, Shahril, today we are going to discuss the way of the warrior, I suppose. Do you do any martial arts?
I don't do any martial arts. When I was young, I did taekwondo for a bit. Got to black belt, but
Black belt?
Yes,
You are black belt in taekwondo?
I'm black belt taekwondo, KJ.
I did not know that.
But I wouldn't be able to tell you how I got there now, because
Okay.
those were many years ago.
Yeah, and did you take part in any competition?
I did.
So you've actually punched
I've
someone?
actually punched someone and kicked someone,
I see.
Yeah. I know my demeanor suggests otherwise, but I'm trained
you,
in the basics.
You give out very pacifist vibes.
I give up. I don't know about pacifist, but just kind.
Kind,
Which is on brand with
That's
Kindred.
right. That's right. We are here to sow kindness. So today we are very, very privileged. We have friends from Indonesia with us, Sensei Imanul Hakim and Ibu Shanti, husband and wife.
Yeah.
Welcome to Kindred Stories.
Thank you.
So maybe by way of introduction, Shahril, Sensei Hakim, and we'll refer to Sensei as Sensei. Sensei in Japanese, I suppose, is teacher.
Teacher. Yes.
Is an Aikido practitioner of 30 years. And he graduated from Fakultas Tarbiyah, University Muhammadiyah in Jakarta. But in his later years, he has mastered Aikido.
Yes.
And has used Aikido as a way to teach not just martial arts, but also to provide life lessons for Muslims, tazkirah, which many people in Malaysia have also benefited from. And Ibu Shanti is also part and parcel of this teaching. And I must thank Sensei, because personally I've attended some of Sensei's Aikido classes. During the elections, the recent elections in Malaysia, halfway through, I felt a little bit burnt out. I felt a little bit stressed. And I had a session with Sensei to ground me again. And it brought a certain calm back to me. So I thought we could just have a conversation about your journey with Aikido with Ibu Shanti, and how that relates to Islam, how that relates to us as Muslims. So Shahril, maybe you want to say something before we get into it?
Yeah, I mean, I think what Kindred Stories tries to do is exactly as Kyrie mentioned, how to link the practice of everyday life with interesting individuals like yourself to the practice of religion, right? And I think your story, as I understand it, I haven't had the privilege of attending one of your classes, is exactly that, right? Interesting for someone like me who's from the outside to understand how those two things relate in your particular case. So maybe if I can start off, Kyrie, just to ask either Ibu Shanti or Sensei himself, maybe to a complete outsider, which I imagine most of our listeners are, how does the two relate? How does Aikido and the practice of religion, spirituality even exist in the same space?
Okay, so maybe I need to start from how I start my Aikido practice, my martial arts practice. This is my hobby since I was a child. Maybe, but Aikido, I practiced Aikido when I was 16. Before I learned Jiu-Jitsu, Taekwondo, Karate before Aikido. And actually, it's not like I'm not focusing on to make these both Islam as a religion and then martial arts related. No, I don't know about this relation. And first I joined martial arts. So I start with hobby, and then after I graduate from my high school, that I don't know, my heart is like I want to learn more about deeper about Deen, about Islam. So I going to the Islamic University to take the tarbiyah to learn about the Islamic education. And then when I was there, and I start to have this understanding between martial arts and Islam. And it start from, actually I have this question since I was small. Islam means salam, means peaceful. But the historical fact that in Islam, even from very beginning, we have the war of Badr. It's war of Badr, war of Uhud. It's about war, but Islam itself is salam. It start to like become my question.
How do the two coexist?
Yeah. How to understand this salam, but war. I'm very curious, and I really want to know how to explain this. Then I start study martial arts, but I don't find any answer. But when I start to find Aikido, it gradually opened. Because in Aikido, the founder of Aikido, his name is Murihei Yeshiba. His philosophy about this martial arts, he said that Aikido is love. Aiki is love. But the Aikido is martial arts, so it's connect with the techniques can do harm to people. So it is actually like a paradox.
Yes.
Very paradox. How something that can do harm, it show love. It's very unique. It's not easy to understand. That's why you need to focus, like to give more effort to understand this. It's not like common martial arts. You just thinking about how to defend yourself, or even some of to fight other people. But Aikido is not that. It's not in that area. It's a different kind of martial arts. The power in Aikido is not came from brute force, but from physical power. It came from the purity of the heart. Maybe some of the listener of the audience, when I tell them about this, they will okay. This is something that, because many people say that Aikido is completely useless in real situation. It doesn't work for a martial arts. Maybe as a philosophy is good, but it doesn't work. But it's not what I experience in my like based on my my experience in martial arts is different. I use Aikido not only as martial arts and also for the daily life. Yeah, so for the way that also I use the martial principles into another martial arts, because I used to be in a karate, taekwondo, and I use Aikido to, when I have sparring in karate or in jiu-jitsu, I use Aikido. Aikido principles. Not as a techniques, but as the principles and knowledge and philosophy. And it's work.
Ibu Shanti, what Sensei mentioned just now about the paradox of this, what is seemingly a combat pursuit, Aikido, and love. How would you describe it?
Okay, first time when I was a student in my last university time, I searched for Aikido for a long time because I knew Aikido since I was in the junior high school, but I didn't have a time to look for it. So in my last university time, my sister came to me and then said, come join the Aikido club in my university. So I went there with her, and then I met with him and I joined the Aikido and I like it so much. of course, is build your body to be strong and everything. But what I learned from him, that's strength is nothing. Strength is just another, like there's no different with another martial arts. But in Aikido, I learned that you don't need a strength. You just need your heart to be pure, and then you can do the technique correctly. On the other things is that I found a way my journey to the Dean through Aikido. Because
Your journey to the Dean through Aikido.
Yes.
How was that?
Because I came from the very secular family.
Yeah.
My family is not too religious. I learned mengaji and everything, but just like that, solat ka, tak solat ka, apa ka, tak ada yang cakap kena solat, kena tak solat kan, macam tu. So anyway, through Aikido, it's opened my eyes that I can understand my religion more. So I know basically why Allah told me to do this and not to do that. Not just based because of the Allah ask you to or not to do or to do, but you from your heart, Allah wants you to do this or Allah not want you to do that, because there's certain things that will affect you directly. It's not just because Allah just say no or yes, you can do.
So can you be more specific examples of how that happened in real life?
Okay, so
cases.
For example, with the solat things, I'm a kind of a person who sometimes solat, sometimes tak solat kan. So when I in Aikido, he taught me about how we have to have discipline, not just body discipline, but inner discipline. So gradually I found and I understand that I need my solat. It's not just
Wonderful example.
Yeah, it's not just body experience, but also from the heart experience.
Yeah.
So before I just doing solat, just an obligation, like gugur kewajiban. So after I learn Aikido, and then I start to learn from the heart. Oh, maybe I need to learn from the heart, then my body will follow. So from that point, I start to feel my solat is more khusyuk. Alhamdulillah. And Allah opened my heart to understand more about this deen through Aikido.
That's a really wonderful example of how you don't just look at Salat as an obligation, something to tick off 5 times a day, but it is something that helps you throughout the day.
Yes.
Enriches you.
I find that it calms me down. There's a reason behind the timing as well. I think Zuhur just after noon, and then Asar, and then Maghrib, and then you sort of wind things down in Isha. Is that does that make sense, Sensei?
Yes. To explain more about how to connect with this Aikido. So I found in Aikido, the body also part of our origins, our fitrah. Our fitrah. So you know that in fitrah, we have the good origins, all human beings. Yeah. Regardless his like race or nation, then doesn't matter. Because Allah create only the goodness, the good things. So in fitrah, usually we know the fitrah, the origins of human being is his heart, his mind, his soul, is a fitrah. But very few people talk body as a fitrah. The body itself is fitrah. And then in Aikido, I found when your heart is not true, when you have like bad intention, and your body will telling you, I can show it. So like if I push somebody just with 2 fingers, just stand like that or just sitting, and then I push him a bit and I ask him to have like a bad intention, and his body becomes easily to lose its balance. Easily, very easy. Doesn't matter he tried to strengthen his body, still very easy to push him. But when he changed his heart to be pure, to be humble, and he find his body rooted
Centered.
Centered, rooted, without any effort. Without any effort. I have this experience. One of the another man from another martial arts came to my dojo. He want to learn. He said he want to learn Aikido, but he entering my dojo with his own uniform and black belt.
His own ego.
Yes. So, what do you mean by you want to learn? But this kind of attitude. He wearing black belt. I want to learn Aikido. Oh, okay. And I said to him, "Do you mind if I start with the basic one?" Oh, of course. Yes, okay. I'm okay with that. Okay. So in our dojo, we not start from techniques. We not start from stance. We start from sitting position. Sitting, yes. If you can sit correctly, then I can teach you more. Maybe you can stand correctly. First, you have to sit, and then we open the class. Okay. So he sit, and then the way he said is like this, wide legs and like this. I said, okay. I said, the way you sit is very weak. You're powerless in this position. I said, how come? I can show you. I can prove it. So I just push a bit with 2 fingers, and then he's fell down. And said, okay, try again. I'm not ready yet. Okay. So I push 2 times. It's still same. 3 times the same. He tried to do anything to resist me. He still fell down. So then I say, do you want me to share with you how to be stable, how to root your body to the ground? Yes, of course. Okay, just say to yourself in your heart, I'm not stronger than others. I'm not better than others. I'm like others. I'm just like human, like all humans. What the connection with this to have it? No, just do it. Just do it. You will know. Okay? And he tried to, yes, I'm not stronger than others. So hard. No, it's not. You're not sincere to say. Say it from your heart. Admit that you were not greater than anyone. Okay? And then he try hard until he gets sweat. To just say it, he gets sweat. And his breath is like, it's heavy, So the heaviest, the hardest opening for us is our own ego. We cannot fight we can fight others, but we cannot. It's difficult to fight our own ego. So this guy tried hard to say that I'm not greater than other guys. So, but he tried again and again, and then he can do it. So he just, because he start to get exhausted, and then yes, I'm not stronger than others. I'm like others. And when he say it from the bottom of his heart, and I push it harder, he don't feel it. I say, are you sure you've pushed me? I push you harder than before. I feel nothing. It came from your heart.
So that's where this purity of the soul manifests itself in your
physically
body.
Yes. So that's why when I say, I'm not saying like, oh, the strength is nothing. No. Strength is you need strength. You need physical strength. But for martial arts, you need more than that. Because if martial art based on the physical strength, brute force, this is very destruction. This is, you can do harm. Like I said, this is very dangerous. But when the martial arts is expressed, is as an expression of the heart, it becomes beauty. And this is why the traditional art, like Silat, like Aikido, like Kenjutsu, the swordsmanship, they're showing their art not by smashing people, not like hitting people hard as hard as possible, but by kind of dancing. Like Silat, they're showing the Kembangan, like dancing. Kenjutsu, they're just playing like kata, karate, traditional karate. Aikido is look like dancing. Because this is the essence of traditional martial arts. They're hiding the the harm, like the brutality, the hiding it by showing the beauty of it.
Do you
think-
Sorry.
I was just going to say, I love that quote. If I remembered it right, Sensei. Martial arts, if it's brute strength or brute force,
Yes.
it is. If it's strength, it's it's brute force and can cause harm. But if it comes from the heart, it's an expression of beauty. And I don't know if it's too fast to jump, KJ and Sensei and Ibu, to how that relates to Islam and the practice of Islam, because that's what we try and get, right? Because I think you could argue, along similar and parallel logic about that. If we use brute force, it's effectual, but it is a particular kind of effect. Whereas if it comes from the heart, it's something else entirely.
So I use this philosophy, very practical philosophy, to do. I joined the deradicalization program a long time ago with the Indonesian government and BMPT, and also the psychologists from Universitas of Indonesia.
I think for the benefit of our listeners and viewers, this was after the 2002 Bali bombings.
Yes, the Bali bombing, suicide bombing, terrorist bombing.
So Sensei was asked by the Indonesian government to participate.
Actually, the psychology, Universitas Indonesia, the psychology department, yes.
To participate in a program to talk to some of these young people who were suspected of being involved in these attacks. Yeah?
Yes. So I joined the program not as the main program, but as a extra. What do I say? The
consultant.
Not consultant, but just give them the relaxed time, activity.
Extra
Okay.
activity.
Yeah. So the main is usually to talk about the ideology, and that, but it doesn't work. It doesn't work well. It end up with the debate, and that we never agree with anything. So, but these people, when they heard about, this is martial art master came to teach you martial art, they will have, good. So we have something very, make them
An activity
high spirit.
that was, they look forward
because
to.
they love combat, they love martial arts.
Yeah.
So when I share with them, I want to connect, heart-to-heart connection with them. And so I start to have this methodology to share how your heart and your mind connect with your body. So I tell them like this, okay, brothers, when you're in combat or you want to some jihad, like some do the things that for them is jihad, you always do takbir. You say shout Allahu Akbar.
Yeah.
I want to ask you, I ask them, I want to ask you that there's at least two condition, two situation in your heart and your mind when you doing takbir. The first, in war, you may have like this situation, like you think that you want to destroy, you want to kill these enemies, Allahu Akbar, and you want to slaughter them. And the other is when you pray in salat.
Yes.
In your tahajjud, you are just yourself, no one, only you and God. So your Allahu Akbar came from your heart. No anger, no hatred, nothing, only like you and your God. And maybe you're asking for forgiveness, for His rahmah. And then I ask, because you would talk about war, about jihad. In war, we need strength. We need power. Which takbir will give you power? That's my question. Which takbir, with hatred, with anger, or takbir with love, compassion, and surrender?
So is it takbir so-called in the face of your enemy, or takbir when you are submitting to God? Which one is more powerful?
Yes.
Yeah.
And then they all agree on, okay, of course, when in war, you should have this kind of anger to our enemies, that what we want to destroy them. Okay, so let's put into a test. Okay, and then so I asked them to facing each other. There's 10 guys, or 20, maybe 20 people, and they're facing each other. And I ask one side to hold the other side both hands, and push it down, and don't give anything like to let him go or move. Just push it down with all your weight and power. And then the other is, I ask them to the other side to just raise up your hands like takbiratul ihram, like this. And what you do, what you have to do is just raise your hands, takbiratul ihram. Imagine in the front of you is your enemy. Then you want to kill them. Okay, can you do it? Yes, okay. When I count into 3, all takbir and raise your hands. 1, 2, 3, and the all takbir as,
Loud.
loud as possible. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. And mashallah, no one, not single one can raise their arms. No one. This a program 3 times. Same things. Not single one can raise their arms. It's stuck, even more stuck. And they louder they shout, they get more stuck.
This was when they were manifesting
Anger, hatred. Yeah.
Hatred.
And then I wait until 2 minutes. Nothing happened. Say, okay, stop, enough. Now I want you to change your heart now. There's no one in the front of you, no enemy, nothing. No, imagine yourself you were in the middle of the night in your tahajjud. That only you and Allah and your God. And imagine this is your last prayer. This is your last prayer. Then you sure that after this, the Malaikat Maut will take your ruh, taking back to your Lord. Have that in your heart and do it. And they're all very silent, and the takbir is very soft. Allah Akbar, and no one failed. No one. They succeed all.
They could lift their...
They left their hands naturally. There's no effort.
The strength came.
The strength came just Allah Akbar, and the opponent just fell down. I was just released their arms, and it happened. If you try again and again, nothing changed. It's the same thing happened. So they're shocked with that.
Maybe last one for me before maybe we go for a short break.
Yep.
Just to wrap this section up as I see it, trying to link the two. It seems like it's about humility, it's about discipline, it's about submission. These are the values that you found maybe bridged Aikido and the practice of Islam,
Yes.
right? Any other values that someone like me should know about and explore?
Maybe in the founder of Aikido, Morihei Ueshiba, once he said like, Aikido is not religion, but through Aikido you will understand your religion. That's what point that I start to think about it, and I try to put it in my practice. That's one. And then also Sensei or Morihei Ueshiba also said like, the creator is Aikido is not me. The creator of Aikido is the creator of the universe, and Aikido is following the law of the universe. So from that point, I learned this martial arts, and I not just the physically, but I have to think deeper about the philosophy itself, then manifest in my technique.
Okay.
We'll take a quick break and we'll come back to discuss the way of the warrior. Welcome back to Kindred Stories, where we are today discussing with Sensei Hakim and Ibu Shanti about Aikido as it relates to their lives as Muslims. And we've had a great discussion, the first segment about the connection between mind, soul and body. Sensei, maybe for this segment, I wanted to discuss the way of the warrior. So I grew up in Japan. I spent 5 years of my childhood in Japan. And of course, being there, you're exposed to their culture. And one of the things that I remember until today is the sort of code of conduct of ancient Japanese warriors known as Bushido. And that's really a code of the samurai, I suppose, way back when, about courage, about loyalty, about honor, about honesty. Is this something that is also relevant in your life as a Muslim? And
Yes,
how does
of
that
course.
relate to traditions within Islam?
Yes, this is why I think the treasure that we lost in Islam. We know Islam is religion, but the values of the value, the warriorship is gone in today's Muslims world. The warriorship is not about the men who like ready for war, but it's like you say, it's about conduct, it's about the ethic, it's about the morality. And we have it in Islam, but it's become something unknown until now. Now some scholars from many worlds, many Islamic Muslim worlds, they share about this. We call it Futtuwa.
Futtuwa.
Al-Futtuwa. Futtuwa is same like you said Bushido in Japan. We have Futtuwa in Islam. The term Futtuwa came from Fata. Fata means youthful, actually. Youthful. But not only a definition, not only youthful as a man, but the means of youthful is a man who have noble characters. Noble characters, and he have how to usually in the Arab time, Futwa is very old. It's not just when the Islamic start to spreading. Even before Sayyidina Rasulullah sallallahu became the prophet. Is the Arab people, they know about this philosophy, Futwa. And then before and until the time of Ibrahim alayhi salam. So in Quran, the one man who, the first man that called Fata, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in Al-Quran is Sayyidina Ibrahim. Fata. Fata means the man who have this kind of characters, the warriorship.
But is that a warriorship of anger and
no, of course
fighting
not.
people?
Of course not. It's opposite.
Yes.
It's quite opposite. This is warriorship means, like you say, it's about the characters: love, compassion, just, honor, honesty, and all of it is the characters of the prophetic characters. You cannot be a prophet or messengers of God except you are fata, except you're warrior. If somebody have this kind of character, he become a best leader of his people, because he's not thinking about himself; he's thinking about the people. He ready to sacrifice himself.
But Sensei, maybe we need to really drill down on that term warrior, because every time we use that word warrior,
Because war. yeah. That's a very limited. Because in Japanese, the term of this warrior they call bushi. Bushi means warrior. So, but the main characters is bu. Bu came from Chinese characters. These Chinese characters divide into two characters, become one. The first characters means spear, and the other means stop. So it's not spear, it's not to make war, but how to stop war. So that means bu in Japanese. In Chinese they call it wu. Like wushu, in Japanese they call it bujutsu. It's the same kanji. So the philosophy of bu is not about war, it's to prevent, to stop the war.
And coming back to Futtuwa?
And Futtuwa is the same. Futtuwa is about the people who want to make peace and share goodness, share kindness to people, but bring people to the truths, to the ultimate purpose of life. But they're ready for everything. Like if war should happen, they're ready for that also. But it's not by anger and hatred. They not hate people. They not want to destroy people. They want to do good for people. But when the evil comes, they must stand up for that.
Sensei, Ibu, maybe before I turn over to Shahril, I want to relate this to something that's happening today in the world and something that's happening to me. I would like to think that I'm somebody who wants to give diplomacy and peace a chance. But I find that very difficult right now
Yeah.
because of what's happening in Gaza,
Gaza.
the genocide in Gaza. I don't think I felt this amount of anger in a long, long time. And I feel that the only way is to fight back. And I'm scared that I'm becoming radicalized myself in some way. I mean, I'm not saying that I'm turning towards becoming a radical or worse than that, but I cannot control my anger because of what I see every day.
Yeah.
So relating Futtuwa, relating, choosing the way of peace and justice. How do we as Muslims handle this today? Because we're so angry.
Yeah. Yes, it's difficult to answer this, but when you know about Futtuwa, when you train yourself in such a way to following this path, your anger is not become negative. It's become positive. You have this kind of a character that you stay just even when you're angry toward your enemy. You even have compassion, but you have just first because you have to stand up for the right. So that's a character. It's not that bad anger. The anger sometimes you should angry with something. If it's like too much, like destroy our humanity. Like what happened in Gaza is you not to be you don't have to be a Muslim to know this is very horrible things happen, and we almost lost our mind and our humanity to see this and like cannot do anything. At least you have heart to stand up for what is the right. So I think this is more important. The anger means you have fitrah. You have because fitrah you cannot just say, okay, this is not my problem. You see that problem. So it means we have this cowardness in our soul. So it starts that we ignore what happened around us.
Maybe from me, Sensei, or even Ibu actually, this building from what KJ mentioned about bringing all of what you've discussed into today's world. You mentioned something about how one of the shame or one of the regrets is that the Muslim community, the Ummah, maybe has lost the sense of warriorship as you described it. I'm going to put you in a slightly uncomfortable position. Maybe explain in your own words, what do you think the condition of the Muslim Ummah is at this point in terms of how it sees itself? Is it lacking in confidence? Is it lacking in an in a comprehensive view of what Islam actually teaches it? Is it very, susceptible to only one-dimensional parts of what the religion teaches? So what do you think is lacking?
Yeah. What happened actually, yes, like I say, I just can revert to the hadith of the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Here, the Prophet said that one day, my ummah in the end of the time is like a food, and the one on one plate, and the other ummah is like try to take this food and then like playing around with this food like that. And one of Sahaba say, is that because we are so like small numbers than others? No, you even like the Muslim is is in many places is majority. You have these numbers, big numbers of you, but you got the we call the illness of your heart. This illness in your heart. It's called wahan. What is wahan? Then the Sahaba said, what is wahan? Ya Rasulullah. He said, wahan is the love of dunya and you're scared of death. So love of dunya and scared of death. When you have these two illness, then you become like that. So like this ummah not so dunya doesn't mean that we shouldn't have like wealth or
Success,
position successful. No, dunya is not that. You can be rich, you can be famous, you can be successful, but dunya means anything beside Allah in your heart. So it's only Allah in your heart. Whatever you do, whatever your profession, whatever is lillah, is because of Allah. Because you want to do best for Allah. Just because of Allah. You don't care about what somebody talk about you like this. I don't care. I don't put you in my heart. My heart is only my God. So this is the spirit of Futtuwa also. Because the highest form of Futtuwa is there's nothing occupy your heart except Allah. That's the highest. If all the Muslims have this heart, then it starts the Muslim community, Muslim society will start to grow, to wake up from their sleep. So that's why we is talking about this, about Futtuwa, about warriorship. It's not because you can do your dunya things, but don't put it to your heart as things that you want for yourself. You're doing it to people, to ummah, because you want to stand up for the right and for the good, and be sincere of that, because of Allah, and that is how you become a warrior. So it's simple, but we lost it. We separate now. We live in the secularism time, which is we don't know about this idea about secularism because Islam don't have it. It came from since Renaissance, when the church separate from the state and from the science. Yeah. So they separate, but we don't have it.
Do you see that in young people today, Ibu? Too much focus on dunya?
Yes.
And what is the way? How do we repair this?
I think we have to have much dua for this because today's world everywhere is the same.
Yeah,
youth start to stick to their gadget, and then they believe whatever they saw in the gadget. Yeah,
but there's a good things also because now this generation, I don't know what they call the X generation or Z
millennial
Z, Alpha.
Based on what I know, they are the most like focal about the Gaza issue.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sensei, can I build on what you just said just now about how the ummah, what's lacking is maybe a sense that a remembrance of how all that matters is Allah in the heart and not to chase dunya for dunya's sake. And you mentioned at the end of those remarks that maybe the way you symbolize this is a love for secularism or a system that facilitates that kind of thinking. Can I not challenge but maybe try and open up a different perspective, which is I completely take your point about how maybe there's lack of sincerity in some of us, right? But even in the practice and the performance of religiosity, I feel, and this is my hypothesis, some of us do it for dunya. So how can I be more specific? Even in the performance of my religiosity, in showing that I'm Muslim, in standing up for something, there's an advertising, there's a performance aspect of it. For who? Not necessarily for Allah. I'm not going to speak for other people, but maybe even myself, right? I wonder whether sometimes I'm doing certain things that I consider to be religious, not secular. But I'm doing it for an audience, a human audience. So maybe Sensei, if you can expound upon those thoughts of mine, which is that it's not always secularism that's a problem.
Yes.
But the practice of Islam itself, it can, not always be the right way.
Yes, of course. It's back to the very personal. But it's I think I talk about the secularism is like it's something that it make it even stronger, that kind of thing, because this mindset, this paradigm is like, okay, this is common, all people, all like Muslim society they did it, so it's common. So but it's, of course, it's written to very personal. Each person, it's a Muslim. As a Muslim, they should concern about themselves. Like when we doing something, is it for Allah? Is it for Ummah? Or just it's about you? Even when you like maybe you say loud about the Gaza in media and yes, if it came from your heart, that's good. But it came because you want to take the crowd
Glory
to
or,
look,
yeah.
to look at you, and you have like, oh, this guy is
Attention.
good, intention of people. Okay, this is another things. But yeah, we don't know people's heart. But this is what happened. The sign is like return to the prophetic hadith. If the situation of the ummah still is in the same state, it means this illness still amongst us.
Sure.
Maybe majority of us, and that's in that sincerity. That is not enough sincerity.
That's why the state of the ummah is in the state
Yes,
that
yes.
it is.
So yeah, that's why I'm concerned.
Yeah, just to sort of wrap this section up, one question back to Ibu Shanti. You know, Futtuwa, we were talking about this I suppose this moral code, Bushido and all that. It's very masculine. In fact, Futtuwa, I think in Arabic means manliness, I
Yes.
suppose.
Yeah.
As a woman, can you relate to this?
Yes. Don't forget that there are warriors, women warriors in Japan too. I read some story about the woman warrior, and then even woman samurai that fought against the enemy side by side with men, and they can be a very strong individual also as a leader. I heard one story about this princess. She like 8 months pregnant. She have a stone in under her belly, and running in the horse, fighting with the samurai at the era.
So you don't see Futtuwa as something exclusive
Gendered,
for
gender,
men only.
No. And
But
also
in
in Islam,
also, even though in a Quran always say man, it's actually woman and man. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
In-
both
yeah.
gender wrapped in that.
Yeah.
Can I wrap up this?
Yes,
This one more?
yeah, and then I have one more to
Sure.
Sensei, but you go ahead. Yeah.
Just building on this point of gender, I think KJ knows one of my interest areas is how to conceptualize the modern masculinity of Muslims
Yeah,
and
yeah,
of
yeah.
people in general, right? So back to Aikido and back to the concept of Futtuwa as you practice it and teach it. Is there any tips or anything you want to share in terms of how the modern man lives out his masculinity?
Even in Muslim society, sometimes they misunderstood about the term of masculinity, to be a man. There's like two Arabic words for man. One of it is rijal, and the other is fata. Both is man, and but fata more to the youth, but man. But rijal is only man without any values. Yeah, you can be a bad guy, you can be a good guy, you can be anyone. But fata is specific man with the values, with the some noble characters with him. And this masculinity is shown by the beauty of the characters. Like the man should be gentle with women, soft, and they are protectors of their family and the weak, also the women and children, of course. And they have just to the those who face that came with something can be do harm to the family also. So this kind of character based on gentleness. So masculinity, it doesn't like be rough or be rude. It's not completely opposite. Like also in British, they say gentleman. Gentleman is the real man. It's not the strong man. No, they say not strong man.
Wonderful example.
Gentleman. So masculinity means we have a gentle heart to those who you saw that they are weaker than you. They need protection. So be gentle.
But this concept of protection is anchor
Yes, it's anchored.
to what masculinity
Yes,
is.
It's
Which is
Powerful.
where we're at.
yeah. To wrap up this segment, Sensei, coming back to where we started, Bushido, Way of the Warrior, relating to Futtuwa, very interesting. I recall you once said that Bushido is the basement of the code of conduct,
Yes.
because that's your samurai code of conduct, way of the warrior of the samurai in submission to his liege lord or to his shogun and to his country, I suppose,
Yes.
then, or to his house. But Futtuwa is more than that. That's the penthouse of the code of conduct, because that's
true.
your code of conduct, as you said, your code of conduct in relation to your submission to Allah. Is that right?
Yes, that's true.
Yeah.
Yes.
So there's the gold standard, which is Futtuwa,
Yep.
which is these noble characters because of Allah.
Yep.
And there's Bushido, which is really in relation to the dunya, I suppose.
Yes.
In the Japanese sense of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, we're gonna take a break and we'll come back for our last segment.
Welcome back to Kindred Stories. I wanted to start off this last segment before going into something specific about your home country, Indonesia, with one question that I think we ought to address, which is, how do you deal with any criticism and critique of your methods as being potentially innovation of the religion? Maybe some people would have thrown the label bid'ah or even khurafat. I overheard that, off mic, that you've dealt with those kind of criticisms. So maybe, share some of your thoughts on that.
Yeah, I've been in that state, in that position. I'm okay with that. In Indonesian, we like in our the symbol. So we have this word, the unity in diversity.
We have that too in this country.
We have that too, okay. So we live in this diversity, of course, in not only diversity by races and then any like skin color, but diversity means also diversity of mindset, understanding, paradigm, that kind of. So that many people have a different opinion, have different perspective to looking on something. So it depends on us. For me, I'm okay with that. I never fight back. I never fight back. I always smiling and then, okay, good for you. If you disagree with me, it's okay. But I respect your opinion. I believe what I believe. I do what I'm doing. And you do what you're doing. Then let's God become our. So we will return to God. Then just God decide who is best.
And what you believe obviously is Islam, but the way to Islam, the path to Islam,
yes,
can be Aikido, can be something else.
Yeah, actually, there is a hadith of it about this. This hadith talk about that Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said that in the end of the time, there's one treasure lost from my ummah, and that treasure is hikmah, is wisdom. So wherever you find it, take it and bring it back to my ummah. So for my case, I found Aikido as treasure. Wow, why is here? I have to bring it back. So I want to introduce this, to share this, not only for Muslim, not for non-Muslim, because fitrah is for all. We believe in Islam, all people, when they born in fitrah, all men, they're born in fitrah. And fitrah means when you talk with somebody, you talk to their hearts, not to their brain, because the brain is different. They have different things, like different thought. But when we talk to the heart, it's not so much different. We want to ask, like, we need like kindness. We all want to be respect, and we need to love by somebody and love someone too. So this is all same. Why we not start from that point? Why is we not with differences by our thinking? when we start the difference, okay, we will fight because this is the consequences.
You mentioned, Sensei, about diversity. I think that's a fantastic segue into Indonesia and how Islam is practiced in Indonesia. I spent some time over the last few months covering the elections, and we're not going to talk about politics here today. But maybe as Indonesian Muslims, and as neighbors to Malaysia, even though Kindred Stories is meant to be for a global audience, but I think if you talk about a global ummah, we can't deny that Malaysia, Indonesia especially, is competing or even suggesting that it should be one of the main iterations or one of the main expressions of the Ummah Center. How does Islam Nusantara, if we can call it that, differ from what you see or how you see Islam being practiced in other countries, including but not limited to Malaysia? Is there something unique about the Indonesian practice of Islam? And I think Ibu, you can share your thoughts as well.
You want first?
I think as a Muslim in Indonesia, we have a freedom to express ourselves in our way. Yeah, you will heard some group also. They will claim that they are the correct one, or another group they also claim that the correct one. But basically, when I see the whole things, I can express myself as a woman Muslim in Indonesia freely. Like nobody
Less judgmental?
less judgmental, not seeing my clothes or the way I worshiping and something. They see the difference, but they're not like approaching me and say this is wrong or something like that. They will more adaptable, and then they just maybe if too strange for them, they just walking toward me and speak softly. Why do you do that? Then I can explain.
Not to embarrass you, not to
Yes.
call you out.
Yes, yeah, that's what my opinion.
Sensei, any thoughts?
Yeah, it's we call this Islam because this term is sensitive for us. Like Islam Nusantara, sometimes it connect with also. We don't want to talk about politics, but sometimes we use this term used for the for the political issues.
Right,
You know it. But what I mean is the Islam Nusantara is not the term for that, like the political terms. This is like our uniqueness. Because Islam is very universal. It's something that is not changed our culture. It's perfecting our culture. So it make you more, even if you have beauty, it make it even more beautiful. That's Islam. So like my teacher, Dr. Umar, he always say that Islam is like the river, the water in the river. It's like very clean and pure water, and the river itself is culture. So there's many stones and anything in the river, but the water is make it more clean and make it more beautiful. So this Islam in our culture. So yeah, this is the things that I think very special in our Nusantara, because we are different in that perspective. Of course, in China also same. There's maybe I can share one of my dream, because I love Japan. Yeah, I have got this strong connection with Japanese people. I have a dream one day. I don't know, but I can build some masjid in Japan, but the architecture is Japanese, traditional Japanese, almost like shrine, but just masjid, because nothing in Japan right now. They have in China, long time ago, hundreds. The masjid is like, like temples or like, but Japan. So Islam is beautiful. It's not set form like, oh, you should be kind of. It become an Arabic. You don't need to be like that. You just be yourself. Be in your shape, whatever it is. But you're following the fitrah, the origin of our soul, our beings.
Sensei and Ibu, whenever I look at Indonesia, I sense sometimes I sense a greater degree of tolerance. Of course, there have been unfortunate events that have taken place throughout history in all countries, including Indonesia, of conflict between religion. But by and large, Indonesia is very tolerant.
Yeah.
How do you think this tolerance is promoted within Muslims in Indonesia? And I'll give you an example of what I'm thinking. I'm not saying that Malaysia is less tolerant than Indonesia, but we have a very rigid view because in Malaysia, for instance, for you to be a Melayu, a Malay, you must profess the religion of Islam. It comes together.
Yeah.
Race and religion are together constitutionally. But in Indonesia, you can be of any ethnic community. You don't have to be Muslim. There are people who are Melayu there, Malay, ethnic Malay or Javanese for that matter, who profess other religion. So I suppose what I'm trying to understand is how do Muslims in Indonesia celebrate that diversity, and it doesn't threaten you as a Muslim that there are Javanese people, there are Sumatran people who are of a different religion but the same ethnic community.
Yeah, I think because in our diversity in the unique of the many tribes in Indonesia, we have like more than 250,000 local languages, not dialects, but languages. That also makes us unique in other country among the Nusantara country. So I think because of our inheritance that already born this diversity and unique, and we live it among each other. So we get used to it. For example, in Bali, it's a Hindu
majority
Hindu.
Yeah.
But you can see that one time there's Hindu temple, there's a masjid, and there's a church just side by side. Or like in Jakarta, this is Istiqlal, and across the street is a church for Catholic. So we live in this culture many long time ago, for years. So I think we get used to it, and then our tolerate to this is I think bigger because we born in it and we growing up in it. I think
I think KJ, we always careful to not romanticize any place, be it our own country or even others. But I do agree with you based on my own limited exposure to Indonesia. There is a real potential for Indonesia to be a model which other people can, if not follow entirely, take stock from. I wonder, Sensei, if you could speak not just about the diversity, the tolerance of multi-religiosity in Indonesia, in the sense of you saying it as an Indonesian, but also as a Muslim. How do you think the religion, as you understand it, promotes this idea of tolerance such that if people were to follow a bit more the Indonesian model of diversity and tolerance, they don't feel any less Muslim?
Personally, I not feel like, I don't think that the Indonesian Muslim is different from another Muslims. We are same. But I'm like my wife said that maybe our background, we used to have this diversity since we born. So we talk with since I was child, I talk with I have many friends and different religions, different race, different the tribes, different tribes, and then they are all different characters. So it's like get used to it, and then that's it. That's become very natural.
But in terms of Islam itself, right? Like, I mean, from your own readings, understanding, presumably you agree that Islam does promote tolerance.
Yes,
Islam does promote
that's
living
fact.
with others, right?
That's a historical fact that.
But Sensei, a lot of Muslims, including in Malaysia, will feel that, to be the most authentic Muslim is to be a certain way, which maybe in their eyes is a bit more rigid, it's a bit more strict, it's a bit more absolute. Whereas in Indonesia, as I see it, And even in our conversation with Aikido, it's a bit more fluid than that. And you are not any less Muslim. So I wonder whether you had anything to share in terms of your understanding of Islam and its views on tolerance and coexistence.
Maybe we can back to the Rasulullah time. We know that the Muslim and the Jews can live side by side,
Side by
in
side, together.
in very peaceful peaceful way. So maybe those who be rigid in this religion, they should think back to that prophetic time.
In my personal opinion, the difference amongst the Muslim, the diversity among the Muslim who make it them fight each other is not based on religious thinking. I think most of the dunya or political things. It happened in our in Islamic history. Why it become like the Shia? Is it because of faith? I don't think so. You have to read again the history.
Power and politics.
Power and politics. That's it. That's all. But they make it as religion.
Yeah.
So that's, I think, the things that we should realize. You have to make difference between, as power, talk about politics, and the religion. Religion is holy, is sacred. We put it in the sacred place. And the sacred place should be good for all. It should be very peaceful, like salam. But yes.
I want to end on that note, Sensei, if I may, Shahril.
Yeah.
I think for those who are just listening to Kindred Stories and may not know the background of us here, Shahril and I were politicians. I was a politician in Malaysia, and I was in government. Then I was sacked by my party. I wanted to end, Sensei, with maybe getting a bit of advice from you on politics. I don't want to talk about politics, but so, I was a politician. I was expelled from my party for standing up against what I believed was the wrong leadership, but that's a story for another day. And obviously, I tried to accept my position now, but I have residual anger about what's happened. How do I manage this? Do I forgive my enemies? What do I do?
I can give you tips also. But
SubhanAllah. Yes. Alhamdulillah. So, like, for myself, that I already shared to you, I don't have problem with the people who against me, because I'm not doing it for myself. Because my intention is not for myself. I don't have personal feeling for that. It's not about me. I want to share goodness for people. I stand up for them who need it. And if you're against me, it's your right. You have your own right to against me if you disagree with me. So it's okay. And then one day you won. Maybe someday I won. And that's used in politics, of course. But the things we have to hold on is what is our belief, what we make us stand up for that, for the things that we believe. Some things right, some things we should to do for the people. That things that for sure, and that you have to be sincere. You do it because of Allah, to give best for the people. So I think if you have that in your heart, it make easier for you to not to take it as personal things. For me, that's my my way.
Maybe against in the prophetic time, we know that Rasulullah being boycotted by the kafir Quraysh. So on that time, Rasulullah is not fight back, not angry or whatever, but just have a patience until one day Allah make a Futtuwa Mecca, and that's the point that Muslim won. the things that and after that spreading Muslim around the world. So maybe in order not to feel anger, just in my opinion, feeling that maybe Allah won't put me in this such situation first, to be patient, and Allah will showing something else better than what I expected later on.
Yeah, basically become podcast superstars. I think that's better.
I think that's a wonderful note to end, Ibu Shanti. There was that period in the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam's life where he went through multiple tragedies at the same time.
Yeah.
The death of his wife, Khadijah, the death of his grandfather, and of course the boycott was happening at the same time. He went to Taif and he was chased out, and they threw stones at him. And after that, of course, he had to be very, very patient, because with hardship comes ease.
Yes.
And that's mentioned twice in the Quran. And of course, the hijrah happened, and then he came back in victory. So thank you for reminding us that wonderful period of the Prophet's life. Sensei Hakim, Ibu Shanti, thank you for a wonderful conversation, and all the best. Terima kasih.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you very
you.
much.